Hello, kia ora, g'day, I'm Philip Duncan from Weather Watch TV on YouTube with your Australia-only forecast through until Sunday and winter. It is roaring to life in the southeast and in fact even in the winterless north. Winterless north, you're going to be feeling a touch of winter because temperatures are dropping with frost possible as far north as Queensland. Certainly around New South Wales, Victoria and the A.C.T. Frosty weather is coming on in. Let's have a look at the satellite map with the lightning on it today. Two large low pressure systems on each side of the country. This one moving into the southern part of Western Australia. Loads of thunderstorms, heavy downpours, and that's coming through over today, tonight, tomorrow as it moves eastwards. On the eastern side, out over the Tasman, we've got another low pressure zone. That is on its way to New Zealand. Plenty of thunderstorms around that system as well, but most of that is moving offshore. So we've got a drying out phase. Between these two systems, we've got an invisible area of high pressure, this big block here. And that is about to produce this southerly, this colder temperature going all the way up, as I say, to about Queensland. That's where it fades out. So temperatures are going down over the next couple of nights in a number of areas, mostly out here in the southeastern side and the eastern side of Australia. Not much else to talk about elsewhere, pretty dry, maybe a few more showers around Western Australia, a lot of high cloud there as well. Here is the big picture with the air pressure map. So here is the low in the Tasman moving away from Australia and the high pressure zone to the south here moving in towards the southeast. So between the Tasman low and the high south of South Australia, this is the big southerly coming in, the wintry southerly going all the way up to Queensland. That's why we're seeing frosts in the forecast, fairly widespread for inland and higher elevation areas around Victoria, around the A.C.T. Canberra's got overnight lows -2, -3, maybe -4 in the nights ahead. Sydney's got some pretty low maximum temperatures in the days ahead, 14s and 15s and things like that. So winter weather into the southeast here, but on the other side, with the low still moving through, these are warmer northwesterly winds coming in. So cooler on the eastern side, milder on the western side, and not a lot going on up in the tropical side. By Wednesday, here's the forecast map to make more sense of it. So we'll start with the high. The high is kind of the dominant feature here, not really so much the lows, because the placement of the high makes all the difference between the temperatures and rainfall. So with the high smack bang here moving in towards the Tasmania Bass Strait area, the wintry weather brushing Tasmania, brushing Victoria, moving further to the east though, and along that eastern coastline. So it's a southerly or a southeasterly that is moving on through. And you will be seeing either a bit of snow around on the mountains, but also frosty weather as well, especially once the skies start to clear. You reach about Brisbane and the border of Queensland and those showers taper off. Most of Queensland is dry, a couple of showers in the very far north, dry for the top end, dry for Northern Territory for the rest of it. But Western Australia, as that low comes in, this is the line where we're going to be seeing some thundery weather from Esperance to Kalgoorlie, getting those thunderstorms in there, and maybe some further thunderstorms on the coastline right down to about Albany as that low moves on through. So northerly winds for the western side, and we've got southerly and southeasterly winds for the eastern side. Going through to Thursday, that system in Western Australia falls apart. Still plenty of showers around, but perhaps not quite as heavy or as thundery as they were, but thunderstorms are still possible because now you've got the temperature change happening in the southwest of Western Australia. The southerlies coming through for you. Very messy low pressure zone drops south. So not a lot actually happens on Thursday for those in the east, but now the high stretches out. So that sort of started on sort of Wednesday, but going into Thursday more so. So clearer skies, lighter winds, locks in the cold, low overnight temperatures as we go through the working week. Still got a few showers just grazing the eastern coastline, and those temperatures are down right up, even as far north as places like Townsville. Just noticing a little drop in those temperatures, but it's the inland areas that will feel it the most. Tasmania doesn't have a lot going on here on Thursday as that high moves on through. But as we go into Friday, that's when the weather conditions in Tassie might start to change. Possibility going into the weekend of some severe weather as a result of this stormy stuff down to the south, which takes me to South Australia. Showers coming in. So if you're in drought, you're seeing wet weather start off this week in Western Australia, then we see it at the end of the week in South Australia and spreading over into Victoria. Now, of course, the blue on this is not a huge amount, 5 millimetres. But for some of you, you get a few days of that in a row, it starts to build up, and this is not the end of it. So northwest winds picking up through Victoria, the A.C.T, lower southern parts of New South Wales, high pressure smack bang over the border of Brisbane and New South Wales. Not a lot happening there apart from a bit of coastal cloud and showers. Inland doesn't take much before you get the blue skies and not a lot going on. But the northwest winds pick up around Victoria, not as cold on Friday, but it won't take long to change that. Look at Saturday. This is good news for people who need rain. If you don't need rain, the timing's terrible because it's a Saturday and people don't like that. But look at this, you're seeing the yellow back into the map. That's 20 millimetres in a day. So now you're talking about maybe 5 plus 20 plus a few more. You're getting closer to 30 millimetres in some areas. Showers aren't as widespread around South Australia, although perhaps the more populated parts from Adelaide eastwards towards Victoria, especially into the southeast here, have a better chance of getting some of those heavier showers. And we're seeing snow coming back to the Alps, and we're seeing a potential of some snow flurries on the very top parts of Tasmania. Further northwards, again, not a lot to talk about. A couple of coastal showers for Queensland, dry for the Northern Territory for the most part, maybe a very isolated shower in the northeast at the top end, and dry with warmer easterly winds returning to much of Western Australia around the next big high. Our final map for Sunday, the forecast map, shows, look at this, low pressure, smothered, wintry low pressure smothered over the southeast. Victoria in particular, seeing some of the heaviest falls where some areas, now we're talking 40 millimetres in one day. Now, I don't think that you can just add all those numbers up and say you're going to get 70 millimetres, but some areas might do. It is possible that you could be seeing some really good rainfall. It won't go for everybody. The northwest corner of Victoria, northern parts of South Australia, and obviously further west, north of Port Lincoln, you're not seeing as much rain as well. But you are all caught up in that southerly, heavy downpours, squally showers with a bit of hail, thunderstorms in the mix here and there, and the overnight lows really tanking once more. Warmer westerlies for the rest of Tasmania before that colder air gets pulled into it later into Sunday. So that will be going obviously into Monday of next week as well. So quite a lot to actually focus on. Before I go, let's have a look at the rainfall coming up through till Sunday. We'll start with Victoria. So some of these areas in here are shading into that 50, 60 millimetre mark. It depends on exactly where you are. At the lower end of the scale in the northwest corner, a couple of millimetres, so not much. And maybe some parts east of Melbourne not seeing a lot as well. So it's not necessarily for absolutely everyone, but I still think most of you will be happy with that. South Australia, like I say, the rainfall is biggest from Adelaide towards Victoria. North and west of that, not as much. And over here in Western Australia, some really healthy rainfall totals coming through for some of you that need it, going all the way up to almost Port Hedland, Broome on the outer edges of that. Darwin's remarkably dry, as you would expect for this time of the year, as the central areas, and Queensland as well. You'd expect that to be dry at this time of the year, not seeing too much in the way of rain. So a few moving parts, some heavier falls for the islands, Norfolk and Lord Howe getting some decent downpours, and Tasmania getting the usual mix of a bit of showery weather, but the hills and ranges block some of that when it's a west to southwest flow. So there we go. That is Australia's forecast until Sunday. I'll be back again on Thursday as we take a closer look at just exactly what is moving in. Welcome to winter for those of you in the south. We'll see you again on Thursday.